So, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today, this is Nick Kennedy, and I've got a really special guest, somebody that really, he needs no introduction. In our industry, he's a huge influencer. He hates that word, but a huge inspiration to literally thousands of people. I can speak to it firsthand. I was here, I saw people come to his shop, and we're fortunate enough today to be at his shop. And yeah, just the impact he's made on so many people's lives in our industry. It's really cool. He's got a really special story. We're going to get into it today. So welcome, John. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you coming down.
But anyways, so I want to start at the beginning.
Yep.
So we'll kind of go back to when you were a kid, I suppose.
Okay.
Like we're all the way back.
We're all the way back.
So where'd you grow up?
A few miles from here. So we're here in Janesville, Ohio.
Okay.
And my family's lived here since, I think, 1820 or something.
Okay.
1850. We've been here for a while.
Yeah. Now, farm? Do they?
We have a farm. So I lived on the farm for like 6 months. Then we moved into town when I was a kid. But the family farm's been in Janesville since then. And at the risk of being corny or cliched, I think that being raised working on that, I've never planted a row crop in my life, but maintaining fence lines, working on barns, that kind of stuff, instilled a lot of work ethic to me that is kind of coming full circle when you think about what defines success to you and how you manage work-life balance and again, that kind of American dream of you can do it. I hope that's part of our bigger story is showing from start to finish where not finished, but where we've started is this organic, wholesome story of, hey, I wanted to do this and it does work if you put in the time.
Right. No, I think that's important. The farm life, we actually recruit a lot out of this one county, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's like a farm county. You just get good workers out of there.
Yep.
So I don't know. It is a good baseline for guys.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, and then what about your parents? Did they always encourage you to just be crazy and think outside the box, or?
No, they were pretty strict. They were pretty uninterested in whims. They were more of, you're going to take your piano lessons or trumpet lessons. You're going to do good in school.
Right.
I don't care if your friends are playing soccer. We're going to go cut down trees. And of course, as a kid, you dislike that. And then you hit a point in life where you realize, I'm really glad that they had that. They're not here to be your friend.
Right.
And so we were talking earlier, I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and you balance that. You're there to support them and nurture them and raise them and love them, but you're also there to raise kids and instill that ethic in them.
No, that's hard. It's tough. This morning I had 2 sick kids, and it was a rough morning before we headed in here, but we survived.
Yeah.
So I guess we're sitting in the shop today. When did you, maybe it was when you were young, when did you realize, hey, I've got a mechanical aptitude, I like machining, or did that happen way later in life?
No, actually, it's, thank you for asking me. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that exact question, because there's 2 moments in my life that absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
One was, of all things, there was a Sony museum, I think it's since gone, in New York City, that I saw maybe in high school or college, and they had if it wasn't a Sony, maybe it was an Epson robot, because I don't recall seeing Sony robots since then. Mm-hmm. And it was an incredibly fast-moving robot that could pick up marbles, lift them up, move them around. Okay. And that motion, I could just stare at, which is kind of fun, because literally right there, we're looking at our first ever industrial robot that came last week. So that was one moment. And the second was, there's a company here in Zanesville that makes adjustable conveyor systems called Adjustaveyor. Okay. And my dad was friends with the owner, and we were down there. I have no idea why. But we were at their factory, and we got a tour. And they had built a prototype of a automatic conveyor system. So these conveyors would extend into a trailer, a tractor trailer, without touching the trailer floor. Okay. So cantilever into it. And they had modified one of these to stack mattresses. Right. So big problem was, how do you load mattresses? OSHA compliant. This is 20 years ago, probably. Yeah. OSHA compliant, more efficiency, lean, smart. Tracking QR code type stuff. And they had built this prototype out of machine parts and 80/20 and little Arduino-like. It was pre-Arduino, and I saw that machine, and no one else in the room cared. And I just thought, I just want to stare at, how did you build that machine? How did you move that thing around? And those were the moments.
So you were So you had something. It was just at a young age something like
Right.
moved you with
Right.
that, and it made you interested.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. Did in high school did you do a machining course or anything like that?
No, I still didn't know anything about that world. I knew
Okay.
wood lathes worked or a thing, and I had
Yeah.
used drill presses and had done woodworking.
Right.
But I was not aware that a tool like a Bridgeport mill existed. I didn't realize you could cut steel with a steel tool.
I gotcha.
No idea.
Now interesting.
Yeah.
So and then now I was reading. It looks like what's strange is you went into banking then after.
Yeah.
So after high school, you went to what'd you go to school for?
So the short version of that is I knew from the family farm that business and real estate were important because I was thought, hey, on our farm we have a tenant, we have a rental house, we have a rental building,
Okay.
and everyone I looked up to had some core competency around business and real estate. I really liked computers, but I realized I don't want to be a coder or
Right.
an engineer. I don't know if I really knew what a computer engineer was at
Right.
the time, but so when I looked at colleges, I ended up selecting Babson College just outside of Boston because number one, it had the number one entrepreneurship program in the country, and number two, I got a pretty awesome scholarship there. And I thought, okay, not only is that helpful, but they want me. That feels good.
Right.
And I got lucky in the sense that it was a far better fit than I ever could have imagined.
Right.
And when I graduated Babson, I was already starting the company I would later launch called StrikeMark.
Okay.
But I wasn't ready to, it wasn't in any way close to becoming a full-time job.
Yeah.
And one of the classes actually at Babson, the assignment was you have to go meet with the CEO of a startup, which is a lot of lessons in and of itself because you've got to convince the CEO of a startup in Boston to have lunch with a college kid.
Right.
So it kind of starts teaching you the art of selling and cold calling and all that. And one of the things that person said to me was, go work for somebody else. Go save money, go learn what it's like, go see what the framework is of an employment because an entrepreneur is going to become an employer and you'll benefit a lot from that. And ultimately, kind of a theme in life is, money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy options and machine tools.
Right.
And so I thought,
true.
okay, let me go get the best job I can get, save money and learn. And that happened to be doing real estate investment banking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not, you're right. I mean, if you look back, all the super wealthy, it's backed by real estate. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
Right?
at the end of the day, it's a key part of your business. You guys just built a building.
Yeah.
We couldn't be in this building if I didn't have some comfort in that world. Yeah.
That's fact. Well, let's go back. So you said entrepreneurship, which is one of the reasons I admire you as an entrepreneur, especially because as a trendsetter, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier off camera. But what's spawned you into entrepreneurship? Because we were talking back then, that wasn't you either go to school to be a doctor, a pilot, an attorney, or a mechanical engineer. But you picked entrepreneurship. Where'd that come from?
I think I was probably more focused on the word business.
Yeah.
But I was focused on StrikeMark. So I had shot competitive riflery actually in high school.
Okay.
And then that ended after high school, and I shot recreationally in college.
Okay.
Or throughout college. And I had the idea for a better rifle target, a product.
Okay.
And I think like a lot of young folks or young entrepreneurs, I had confused a product with a business. A product is just one part. FlexArm sells an 832, but FlexArm is really this, you have marketing, you have HR, you manufacture this product, you service this product, and it's understanding the framework of which the actual tapping arm is just one part of that overall thing.
Right.
So Babson helped me understand that, but I knew I wanted to pursue that, and that was what made me think, hey, that's cool. Making stuff and making a living making stuff. Yeah, I like that idea.
How would you say? That was cool. So now back to that product. Was this like your first business then? Is this something you did pursue?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. So it was something. I guess ultimately, you tried it and it did not work out, or is this something you still do?
No, it could. The teaser, it ultimately failed, but we had way more successes throughout the process.
Yeah.
So because I was now working in New York City, pretty brutal hours, I brought on a partner,
Yeah.
and we brought this first prototype. We completed it, hired an engineer out of Colorado,
Okay.
flew out to Colorado to test this prototype. Worked pretty well, but needed a lot more work.
Yeah.
We didn't have the stomach to fund a second round of prototypes.
I got you.
Both the engineering costs, but then, holy cow, so having machined parts made one or two at a time was unbelievably expensive, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Worse off, part of entrepreneurship is, actually Babson has a phrasing, ORT, opportunity, resources, and team. So opportunity for us was, what's the product you're selling or the service? This rifle target as an opportunity. What are the resources, meaning what do you have physically to bring it to market? Do you have industry recognition? Do you own machining and equipment? Do you have those physical and technical resources? And then the team is who's behind it, who's backing it. I had a lot of passion, but honestly was a terrible candidate for this product because I had no manufacturing experience, I had no money, I had no equipment. And so what I realized, and my partner I realized, was we gotta put this on hold. And we didn't know what the future would bring. What ended up happening was I bought my benchtop CNC machine, and that is where probably the YouTube channel kind of starts, believe it or not, from like 2007 or 8. And my goal was just to be able to have a conversation with a machinist or an engineer. I didn't think it was going to turn into this.
But it is cool to see that success out of the failure. If you didn't try something that made you really uncomfortable,
it was crazy.
We wouldn't be here today, you know. So it's cool to see. And sometimes you got to hit a bit of a bottom or fail in order to realize what will work or where your passion is.
And the engineer who I still speak with, I hold no ill will and get along with, he told me in no uncertain terms, John, you cannot buy a CNC machine. That's just not something you do. That is a multi-year apprenticeship, trade school, and this is 2007, so effectively pre-YouTube, pre a lot of the renaissance of making and inspirational content, not just us, but everybody else out there. You guys did a sit down with Adam Booth. How many people has he inspired to learn and get into the trades? And it was difficult for me because I respected this engineer, but I also thought, you're wrong. I'm gonna figure this out.
Right. Now that's cool to see that. I mean that especially so your first one you bought the machine. Now you're still working a regular job.
Oh yeah. This is nights and weekends.
Like a banker, an investment banker or something, right? Okay.
But this is all I wanted to do. I mean, I was in New York City, but I didn't care about, I wasn't out partying and going to clubs. I would go home and watch DVDs that I could rent on like manual Bridgeport and learning all the, frankly, horrible options of cheap CAD and CAM back in the day. Right.
What was the inspiration, I guess, to back then, especially because, like you said, this is before, Facebook and YouTube and all that was like a thing, like it is now, especially to grab a camera and start shooting and posting, and showing what you were doing.
That was easy. So I had learned a little bit from CNC Zone and Practical Machinist, but what I saw that upset me kind of goes back to that Babson lesson of always be selling. When you're gonna meet with an entrepreneur or ask for their time, what's in it for them? How do you make this a win-win? And I don't know honestly where or why I learned this, but I'm thankful that I did, because it's been such a key thing in life to not success in the greedy sense, but success in the wholesome sense of what's in it for the other person. And so what I realized, if I'm going to go ask for help on CNC Zone, which was such a tough way to learn relative to YouTube and videos, I suspect people will be more willing to help me if they see that I'm a good member of the community. It's the campsite rule. Leave the campsite cleaner when you leave than when you showed up. And I'm no saint, don't get me wrong, I make mistakes and I have flaws, but I thought, let me at least try to show that. So I thought, if I'm interested in buying a TEG CNC machine and figuring out how to use, I think, Bobcat or Sheet Cam or whatever it was, there's got to be at least 10 other people interested. So I thought, I'll turn the camera on and put it on this site YouTube that nobody had heard of, and that was the story.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what was your first camera? Just curious.
Oh, a Sony or Panasonic point and shoot.
Like a
$80. No, one of those flat ones that you could kind of put in your pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, and $100 camera.
No, that's too funny.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. So the inspiration. When did so you start out? You wanted to give back a little bit. If you had the questions, other people did, and then
Right.
it start. When did you really see the shift, like with your video progression? And you can almost see it through your videos. Like it was like you started out. It was they were pretty rough, right? It just goes to show you that I guess you don't need much to get started. Right?
Sure.
Like anybody can do it. You just got to have a little bit of passion and drive, and obviously, even from you were interested in it. Like and then you bought your first machine.
Yep.
And you installed it. Your first install was you were in New York.
I literally bought like it was hard to find 2x4s in Manhattan, and I found them and like hand saw cut them because you can't run power tool in an apartment.
Right.
Like a chop saw.
Right.
And framed in a stand for it.
Put it in your garage in the city.
Yep. Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, you're all right. So and then from there you started shooting the videos. When did you commit though and quit the job? Because 07 was his first video. You're still working another job.
Yep. So boy, that's tough to summarize, but Strike Mark, we brought the Target to market.
Okay.
When we had taken that hiatus, I learned machining, like got more comfortable, and my business partner actually went through Buds. Failed out of Buds, but was a little bit older and ended up living with his the East Coast team that he was buddies with.
Okay.
And so when we brought the Target back to market, we were able to get a connection in with, it's been a while, but I believe it was called Naval Special Warfare Group, which was the parent of the SEALs.
Okay.
And so we got in with them, and once we got in with them, it was awesome because here I am, a 23-year-old. I literally have sold a product to the Navy SEALs.
Right.
Then we sold to like Asymmetrical Warfare Group, the State Department, Amtrak Security Force. Like who knew Amtrak had a security team?
Right.
And so that was the success. We never made that much money because the Target sales never reached what we thought they would.
Right.
But the confidence you gain as an entrepreneur of bringing a product to market, selling it to these users, was phenomenal. And what did happen was we were filming promotional video of our Targets, and we started machining camera mounts to put on the Picatinny rails.
Okay.
That product took off.
Okay.
So when I moved out to the suburbs to get a Tormach. Literally, that's why I moved to the suburbs.
Right.
Had that in my basement, made those mounts, and that's what let us grow that business to a point where it was pretty awesome. Ultimately, our partnership failed, which is why that business ultimately ended.
Right.
But boy, learned a lot of good stuff along the way.
Yeah, back to it forced you to learn CNC machining all on your own.
Yeah.
So again, because things like that, they're a gift, right? The failures they happen for a reason.
Boy, they don't seem like it at the time.
No, they don't.
But you're right.
You have to look at it that way. Mm-hmm. So and like I said, and you're just a perfect example of, especially somebody that wasn't given anything by any means. Like you learned it, and you didn't even have the chance to learn it in high school. It's like you forced it outside just because of your pure interest. That's cool to see. It really is. Again, I think that's probably why you're able to inspire so many guys. And something you did with the YouTube channel was the way you've taught people. It's almost, and it probably wasn't intentional at the beginning, but you started looking for help, and then now it's almost transcended into, like, you're setting a new standard for education.
Yeah.
Like the way people receive education, it's so, compared to the way people do it, it's still very atypical. And but it's such
not.
It's not now.
Such a good way to learn.
It's a better way.
Yeah.
It's so much more interesting, and because the thought of like going to your traditional classroom now, and it doesn't exist. You know, so I don't know when did you quit the job, and what year was that? So 07 was the first video, and then
I lived in the New York City area till summer of 2014.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So literally, it's actually kind of fun that you're here, because the first time I met you was really shortly after I moved back to Ohio,
right.
Which was the first few months that I ever had to actually put food on the table as a machinist. Before that, it had been, side money or hustle, all that. Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that before. How cool.
Yeah.
So that's a cool backstory. So John and I met, it was like 2014.
Literally, I think the fall of that year.
So he bought one of our flex arm tapping arms, and And it's just cool. Like even we were talking about this off camera. Like even for me, I was so intimidated by what you were doing online. It was just even in 14, it was still just so new, and especially for our industry. I'm like, why would this guy want to do a video on YouTube? Right. Like, what's he going to do with the arm? You know?
Yeah.
And it was just, you were so far ahead of your time. It's so cool, you know, and that's why it's just an honor to be here today because of that, you know. But and it's cool to see the progression, like for both of our companies, especially for you. I think we did a show with you, and when did you do your trade show? 2015?
We've done 3 open houses. Last year we did it in Chicago. So the one you would have been here at was probably 17, maybe?
Yeah.
16?
So just in that short amount of time, though, I think when I first came here, you had 1 Tormach, maybe 2,
right.
And now we just did a shop tour. And how many machines do you have?
Yeah, we have 4 Haas's, a bunch of Tormachs.
Yeah.
We just got a robo drill, buying a lathe.
A really cool classroom.
Yep.
Like for training people, and so it's quite inspiring. Like it's cool to see how we've kind of grown up together a little bit. But so present day, you started the shop. You came back. You physically came back here in 14.
Yep.
You work on the family farm at all, or is that anything?
No, I mean it's been tenant farm for decades.
Okay.
Definitely still am active in trying to help manage it, but no, not like I'll go down there. I'll take my son fishing, that kind of stuff.
No,
I'm lucky to have parents who are alive and well. So my dad's, it's his farm, so he enjoys doing his thing there.
So now to make that, when you decided to move, how scary was that in 14 when you said, hey, I'm going to come back here and do this all on my own? And
I don't think I can possibly convey how scary that was.
Because you had kids at the time and stuff too?
I had a 6-month-old son.
Okay.
I had a wonderful wife who loved her job.
Yeah.
And I had a good job. So I had to quit my job, ask her to quit her job, move with a young kid, and move to a place that I grew up. And I love being in Zanesville. And I can say that now having been back here, but I didn't think I was going to come back here.
Right.
I think there's a lot of that question of exodus from Ohio, from Appalachia, from small towns. And I think that's one of the unique things I've had the chance to live in. I mean, I spent a summer in London, England. I've done Boston, New York, Hartford. And I will tell you, happiness is something you choose to embrace and be. There's miserable people everywhere. There's happy people everywhere. Right. And to some people who think I could never live in Nebraska or Iowa or Wapakoneta or Zanesville, I will tell you, it is great here. We have a good quality of life. I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
because that's a big ask for sure. Like, hey, honey, we're going to move back to Zanesville, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Right. We're just going to start from scratch.
How are you going to make money? How are you going to make money? Yeah, it was tough.
Now fast forward. So the channel, you have a ton of followers. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's why you're such an inspiration, obviously, because you give so much. And then when did now you also have products too?
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about that. I saw, actually, it's funny, last night I watched one of your first videos, and you were fixturing something, I don't know, some Chinese vice probably.
Yeah.
And it popped it up, and then your parallel was loose.
Yep.
And you were wondering why, and I read all the comments. And so it's just crazy to think in literally such a short amount of time. Now you're making fixturing.
Yep.
Like you're setting a standard. So what's unique about your fixture plates?
It's just something we love. So literally my first thing I saw when I bought that tag in New York City was a little aluminum fixture plate. Yeah. And we had one when we were on our Tormach, and ultimately I wanted more of them in the sizes and configurations that we wanted. So we started figuring out how to make them. And it's a simple bread and butter type product.
Yeah.
What I think is exciting is we're very proud of the quality of the plates and the process, but it's the Mod Vice system that we have that has become really popular, where you're able to have a lower cost modular vice work system. And so that business, I would say, does well, but it's now up to me as the business person to kind of execute on it. So we've figured out a lot of our processes. We know how to make them. We don't ever like to abuse our social media and YouTube stuff by like just hard selling our stuff. So we try to show it organically. Yeah. But part of me from a business standpoint wants to do a better job of conveying. Actually, I should probably get you guys have to sell your tapping arms. You have to show, is it ergonomics? Is it productivity? Is it not breaking taps? Like, you got to, as a business person, you owe it to your business to convey that to potential customers and sell.
And because once you love it and you know it works and it can help other people, then you do want to force it. because you believe in it.
Right.
So it's fun.
That's where we are. Yeah.
No, it really is. But so now what's next for you? Like what's the mission for Saunders Machine, NYCNC? Is it the education aspect? Is it? I mean, what's obviously, like I said, that's where I think you've just totally flipped things on their head, especially when you talked about the robot.
Yeah.
Like
can't wait.
Yeah, in a space where I don't know if the technical schools are fully up to speed with teaching some of our youth. There's some challenges there. How is your channel helping with that?
I think the channel has always been tied into our story, and so it'll continue to be.
Yeah.
I don't have a contrived, hidden agenda,
Right.
And I don't really think about like I don't wake up in the morning or go to bed at night thinking, what's the goal? And it sounds weird, but I don't think of it like that. I think it more about like I absolutely love machining. I love robots. I love trying to keep it honest. I think I do a podcast with a guy named John Grimsville called The Business of Machining.
Okay.
And it's actually just a private conversation between two entrepreneurs that we had a friend encourage us to hit record on 2 years ago.
Right.
And we keep it intimate and private. We just share it with the world.
Right.
Because I don't like when you see other business people and it's always we're crushing it or everything's great. Like I have struggles with stuff. Sometimes it's self-confidence. Sometimes it's what decisions do I make on insurance or buying a shop. There's some tough stuff, and entrepreneurship can be pretty lonely. And I think I'm probably known on YouTube as being a smiling and happy guy, and that's sincere. That's not like a fake thing, but darn it, sometimes you struggle.
No.
So I like trying to make sure I also keep that as part of the persona and what people see.
No, that's well said. You're right. Entrepreneurship. I think you've inspired a lot of people to go out on their own and do their own thing.
Yeah.
But it is important to remind them too. Like just because like I portray this on YouTube, you see me doing well. It doesn't mean I don't wake up every day, a bit insecure or wondering, what am I going to do or how am I going to? It's just it's part of the game.
Yeah.
So it's part of it. But so other than that, I mean, big picture, the education side of the business. You do classes here, right?
Yeah, so we do about once a month. We have hands-on training classes. I absolutely love it. It's what I wanted 10 years ago when I was stuck in New York. I wanted to go to a 3-day class where I could learn CAD, I could learn CAM, I could talk to somebody about how to set up tools, I could make parts.
Yeah.
So we do that now. We just added our first 5-axis class, dedicated for folks that, because a lot of people, I think the hurdle, resources like YouTube make it easier to learn 3-axis machining, and more people are doing that on their own, which is awesome. I still think there's a lot of benefits to learning hands-on, but nevertheless, that's great. I see that with 5-axis now. Should I buy a UMC 750? What tools do I buy? How do I set it up? How do I program it? So that's our next thing on the training side.
Now we were talking about that. I think I'm going to send one of my guys to do the class, just because we were talking about in the 750, the UMC world. I think there's a lot of shops that are still they're the old school machinists, and they're not utilizing the capabilities of a 5-axis yet. And even in our shop, we have a couple, but it's a glorified indexer, like we were talking about.
That's all it is. And don't think of it anything else.
But I feel like there's some opportunities if we did some true 5-axis machining, just to speed things up and just thinking outside the box.
Yeah, sure.
But we have to learn that.
Yep.
And that isn't something. It's pretty new. There's not a lot of resources to go out there and learn. I look at our technical schools, the local ones, and they don't have 5-axis machining, not in our general area. Like, so if I wanted to send a guy to learn it, we either force ourselves, self-train, go online, or that's it. Or we come here.
Yeah.
So we're going to come here.
Yeah.
But other than that, I appreciate the time. It's an honor.
Thank you,
it really is. So it's a pleasure. Just being friends with you and getting to kind of grow up together over the last few years.
Yeah.
Because I came into the business at 14, pretty much right when we met.
Yeah.
And then we both just it's cool to see the progression. It really is.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
And, other than that, hopefully the audience can take something from this. And any farewell. Oh, last thing before we go. Would you consider yourself a celebrity?
No. There's one time where I thought, are you kidding me? And my wife and I were on vacation, and it was actually in Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
And it was so funny. This girl comes up to our table, it's just me and my wife, at a restaurant in Sydney, Australia. And she goes, "My boyfriend is too nervous to ask, but will you take a picture with him?" And my wife was losing it.
Oh, I love
losing it.
That's awesome.
Losing it, but it's fun.
Dude,
and that's
so
what's
cool.
weird. I don't. I've said this to other people. I don't actually think people watch our videos because it's just me. It's just my shop. You know, I was filming a lathe part this morning when we got here. It's not lonely. It's just me. So it doesn't. It's strange to me.
Right.
But when you see and you know, we have gone through our share of criticisms or trolling, but darn it, when you see how it has helped people and changed their lives and allowed them to do stuff, but also realize it within a realistic framework. That's important to me.
Right.
It's not some hopes and dreams you're going to immediately succeed and everyone's going to be there to support you. It's tough.
Right.
There's tough elements of it. That's what it's all about.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think you're being super humble about it, but no, I mean, undoubtedly, you are just being here. Just because when you watch the videos, you're like, it feels a little surreal. Because you feel, I'm serious. I mean, it's a little corny maybe to say it, but
yeah.
Or when you see when you're at a trade show.
Yeah. Trade shows are tough. Trade shows I do get, but
People
that's
say,
not fair.
oh, they just attack
That's
you,
not fair.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I mean, it just goes to show you, literally, with being a little bit of a pioneer and thinking outside the box, just what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've said it before, but you inspire people, even us. Like I think it's what you're doing. Man, it's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So and just to know you. So I appreciate it. And
Hey,
thanks for being on the show. Thanks for the
appreciate
time.
it, man.
So
awesome. I'll stay in touch.
Until next time.
Sounds good.
All right, signing off. We'll see you guys. Are you happy with that? Is that good?
Do it again.
All right, yeah. From the top.